story, but Dylan really came in to help us by scripting, starting with issue 2 and going through the rest of the series to really kind of help us flesh out the rest of the universe and the world. And Dylan will let me talk a little bit about issue 2, but we give Mylo sort of discovers Fly and wants to, I guess he's conflicted now because he has to, he has a secret he has to hide. He kind of understands a little bit more about this, and eventually we see the conflict grow as he has to kind of be complicit in covering up for Spark, and the Silencer Army is kind of frustrated with him for not capturing her. And this enrages Major Minus because he needs to get these sparks off the street. He's really afraid that the population is going to become inspired by these murals, these paintings. But eventually, Mylo starts to dream in color, and we get to see now how he's become infected by having seen her mural, by having seen her spark, and we get to sort of go into a more psychedelic experience as he starts to be influenced greatly.
That was really hard to color, though.
Yeah. Sorry. Dylan, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, Mark and I had, prior to this, we had collaborated on a stop-motion animated screenplay that Mark wanted to turn into a film that was also set in sort of a dystopian / utopian setting. And so I think Mark and I had a really good rapport in terms of world building. And you know, I think I kind of understand the kinds of environments that appeal to Mark. And so my challenge was simply to carry on sort of what he had begun and maintain some consistency in this world, and you know, try to infuse it with my own ideas, but not in such a way that would conflict in any way with the larger narrative.
And Dylan's done a great job of sort of bringing it together because there were a lot of ideas that were very loosely sketched out and kind of big high concepts that didn't quite have any shape yet, and Dylan did a great job of, every time I was getting script pages back from him, I was just so thrilled because it was sort of these vague concepts that really became much larger. And when you get into issue 3 and issue 4, there's some pretty huge and epic kind of scale ideas about what happens. And we'll just tease you a little bit to say that Mylo sort of in conflict goes in search of Fly, and he goes and follows her down into the secret underground and gets really introduced to a whole new universe and a whole other world that he never even knew existed and could never have ever imagined. Issue 4 is called Up with the Birds, and if you know, you might get the reference, and I'm not going to show you anything. And really just wanted to highlight color for a second because, you know, Alex's inked pages, so Alex has done the penciling and the inking, and did a really amazing job because he was really adding a lot of detail and adding some tones as well. But by the time things were handed off and Steve was doing the color work, it just elevated. It just really brought everything to. I just was so excited every time I was seeing every step of this process, and you know, Steve did a great job of not only bringing the color idea to the world, but also a sense of texture and a sense of artistic texture and sort of artistic integrity in the way he colored the pages.
I love the way that the color bleeds off the page everywhere. Just makes everything just pop so much more.
Yeah, we actually took a lot of inspiration from the Umbrella Academy series, and that's something Alex and I talked a lot about. I was a huge fan of that series, and not that it has anything to do with the fact that it also has a connection to a band, but I thought it was a great, you know, comic series, and I was really inspired by it. And we talked a lot about it, and the way that the panels kind of break apart the page, and you know, there's a real interesting approach. I think that I was really excited by that. I think we've managed to capture, you know, having the color bleed off, and using really the entirety of the page to help tell the story is really exciting. I guess, if any, should we do, I have